with your 10%.
Sorry.
So it's okay. So a lot of hard money lenders have increased their LTV or decreased their LTV. So whereas there were people being able to put up 10% in the hard money lender loaning 90%, in some cases the loaning has dropped down 60-40. But if you have money right now, now is the time for you to invest inside of real estate. And this is the reason why the prices of real estate are dropping, because there's less buyers. It is a buyer's market right now. It is a buyer's market. So just like we had the recession in 2007, 2008, prices were starting to drop. We're going to see a lot of properties decrease in asking price over the next 6 months. And that's because a lot of people are not going to be able to pay their deferred payments. That's also because a lot of investors are not going to be able to pull their cash out, and therefore they're not going to be able to invest inside of real estate. But if you've been wanting to get inside real estate, it's a great time for you to invest inside of real estate. Now, what I've told some of my investors is minimize what you're investing in. So where we were investing in areas that have increased in value, maybe you might want to buy inside of areas where the values are a little bit lower, where the affordability is high. So for me, I personally started to invest inside of Inglewood because I am seeing drops in ARV, and I'll bring that up in a minute as well. So I've been starting to invest inside of Inglewood, whereas properties I can buy over there 10, 15,000. I am buying those properties now, and I am holding them and buying them cash so that I can rehab them as the market gets ready to change. Right now, we have a lot of investors that are buying inside of Inglewood, whereas they're not really renovating the properties. And my biggest issue is that they're still just sitting over there vacant, but they're owned by someone. So if you have the ability to buy, you should be buying inside of a community that you can actually contribute to. Now, as far as the ARV, I have noticed that a lot of appraisals have been coming back a lot lower. When I speak to the appraiser, their best way of explaining it is that the market is shifting. Appraisals are being questioned by banks. They're looking for lower comps so that they can lower the values. I've had about 2 appraisals that have come back for a little less than 20,000, less than what I was asking. You have to make that decision whether or not you want to sell that property for that 20,000. That's a lot of profit that is gone. However, what's your other option? Are you going to hold it? Are you going to wait 6 months for a new appraisal to take place? Will those values be dropped less in 6 months' time? The investor has to look at that. And what's your paperwork? My thing is that I try to explain to anyone, if you're going to get a contractor to do work for you, make sure that they're licensed and insured. And the reason why is because if they can't have their license and their insurance, what do you go after if they decide not to do your work properly, or if they do damages inside of your property? You lose your money, you're stuck with nothing. Make sure that when you're doing your work on your property or any of your investors' property, is that you're not cutting corners and that the work is being done properly. What I've seen a lot just recently inside of the market is I've seen totally gut renovated properties with no permits for. What ends up happening is that a person gets a property, no permits are pulled, and the title company is becoming hip to it. The real estate attorneys are becoming hip to it, and they're asking for receipts. They're asking for permits. You say you have a fully gut renovated property, that property goes back on the market because that contractor, that developer is insured the same as bonding? No, and I'll answer that in a moment. Cannot did not pull permits on that property. I've seen about 3 deals fall apart because people are not pulling permits on a lot of their renovated projects. That is very important, because if the city should come inside of a property and to see that a property did not have permits pulled, that new homeowner is responsible for anything that the city discovers. Now, I've seen it whereas a person has purchased a property's been renovated, and now they have city issues. Guess what? The city is now holding that buyer responsible. That buyer can turn around and sue that developer, but at the end of the day, the buyer is left holding the bag. It's very important that when your clients are buying these beautifully renovated properties, that you make sure that permits are pulled on them. Pull those permits. Very, very, very important. And this is the thing that you guys have to realize, is that your permits and your inspections are insurance that your contractor did the work correctly. It's not 100% guaranteed, but it does protect you in the aspect of saying, hey, I had the work done. It was inspected by the city. Therefore, should something come back and bite you, guess what? You have the city inspected. And oftentimes people are not doing that. Now, just recently, is that document that lets us know when a permit is needed, so we do. Yes, I will tell you where you can find that document for permits, and I will explain to you when a permit is needed and when one is not. So you
can do this, Lenor, if that's fine with you. We can hold those questions to the end. Is that fine?
It's fine, but I'm going to answer some of them anyway. Okay. So what insurance is insurance covers you, okay, in the aspect that something bad happens, a person falls or something accidental. It covers you in case of something bad. A bond is something that larger, higher projects are owners may ask you for. So for example, you're doing $100,000 project with CHA. CHA may ask you for a bond for $100,000, which is the actual cost of the construction project. Oftentimes, a bond costs 10% of the actual value of the bond. The purpose of the bond is if for some reason you get a $100,000 contract with CHA or any other entity that requests a bond, and you don't perform your work the way that you're supposed to, they can go after your bond. You have to be insurable in order to get a bond issued. Insurance is one thing, a bond is totally separate. So insurance and bond are two separate things. You are required to have insurance in order to be a contractor. You are not required on every project to have a bond. A bond is something that the owner or the hiring agent asks for you to have. Okay, that's the difference. Now, the city of Chicago states anytime that you're going to be required for anytime you're removing over 800 square feet of drywall inside of a project, the city of Chicago requests that you have architectural drawings and plans. So I need to make sure that this is clear. You have cosmetic renovation, in which you're doing small minor work, and then you have major renovations. So with your smaller cosmetic renovations, where you're not removing any structural support beams, where you're not changing any electrical, where you're not changing any plumbing, you're not doing any structural changes, then you can get what's known as an easy permit. Okay, you're replacing same as existing. The city requires full architectural drawings and plans when you are doing structural work, when you are doing over 800 square feet of drywall inside of the property, when you're changing mechanicals, when you're doing electrical, when you're doing plumbing. Anytime you're doing anything major inside of a house, the city requires for you to have architectural drawings and plans. Now, if you are going to be switching out a HVAC system from a boiler to a furnace, you can do what they call mechanical drawings only. That does not require full architectural drawings and plans, but you can do mechanical drawings only. If you're going to be doing electrical, same as existing, by upgrading services, you can pull an electrical permit to replace same as existing. Plumbing, you can do same as existing. If you're going to do a full renovation project, make sure that you have full architectural and drawings and plans. It is very important. I have done projects where the city has come in, and although I didn't remove structural walls, I've done enough renovation over 800 square feet, and they then asked me for what's called as-built drawings. As-built drawings are just drawings that show the structure of the property the same as existing, but because I am upgrading everything in the property, they want those as-built structural drawings to reflect everything that I'm changing inside of the property. When you're changing walls, they want everything, it's a permit for that. Yep, that's correct. If you're doing changing windows, everything else, it is always better in the city of Chicago, because as we know, they are always hungry for money. It is always to have more than less. That is the best way that I can explain. And right now, the city's trash people who go in and out of our alley, they actually get an incentive for reporting properties that have construction going on without permits. It is very, 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 very important that you have your permits, because the city is desperate to make money. And no one wants a $500 stop work order. The city frowns upon you. Everyone in the building department gives that property a very, very hard time whenever you don't have everything that's needed to cover that property. So it's always safe and makes more sense to just go ahead and get it than not have it. All right. Yeah, I gotta excuse me, I'm a little parched. It's very important for those things. The next thing I want to say is I've gotten a lot of people who stated that they wanted to become general contractors. Let me be very clear about this. When you become a general know when something is wrong. So being a GC, I hire my subs, my electrician, I hire my plumbers, I hire my roofers, I hire my window company. But I physically know when they're doing something, what amps they're putting inside my property, how they're running their lines. I know all of these things. You need to know the stages of construction. Everyone wants a GC license, but it's all great when you're doing a project. It's all bad when the project goes bad. So let me explain. If you become a GC and you take on a project for $100,000, and if for some reason someone does something wrong, one of your contractors, you are liable for whatever happens on that project wrong. So I've seen it whereas someone became a GC, took a project for $100,000. They were excited about the money that they were going to make, and they turned around and let a contractor that they subbed the work to do some work that was wrong on the project. They did $50,000 of bad work on the project, meaning that their electrical outlets were supposed to be above the counter height. And the electrical outlets ended up bumping right against the cabinets. So where the cabinets are 30 inches in height, 36 inches in height, the outlets were 36 inches in height. So aside from paying for the GC license, what other requirements are for GC? I'll come back to that in a few minutes. So you have to make sure that when everyone is doing their trade, it is very important that you actually are able. True, I am studying construction management currently. Thank you for bringing this out. This one. It is very important that you know what everything is supposed to be to code. So oftentimes I run into people who want to finish their basement. And I tell them the city requires for you to have 72 inches of head clearance from the bottom step. If you don't know what the Chicago building code is, you need to know that as a contractor. Because even though you're going to hire your subs to come in, you'd be surprised how many subs do not know what City of Chicago code is. There's a big old giant book that you can read up for everything. Another client I had recently, he was putting a staircase. He was going to take out the old structural staircase inside of a property. And he was not able to take out this, he did not want to take out the staircase. And he was adamant in telling me, hey, Lenor, the city wants me to take out this staircase going up to the second level. The staircase was 28 inches. According to Chicago City Code, staircases are now 36 inches. However, that staircase is original to the house, which was 100 years old. He's a general contractor, but he should have known City of Chicago code. He was about to rip out someone's entire original oak staircase because of city code. What I explained to him is if it was pre-existing, according to the City of Chicago, it was grandfathered in. You are 100% correct. He did not have to tear out that staircase. So City of Chicago code is very important. Someone just asked me, what is the requirement for you to become a general contractor in the City of Chicago? There are a couple of things that's needed. One, the most important is the knowledge to be a GC. Second thing, you need to know City of Chicago building code. If you don't know it, you need to learn it. You need to get the book, buy it. It's about $100 for you to have a printed out copy, get a copy and study it and bookmark it for every section that you're going to work in. Third thing is the insurance. Most people do not become GCs because they cannot keep up with the insurance payments. The average general construction insurance runs between $150 and $300 per month that you have to pay that. If for some reason your insurance lapsed while you're in the City of Chicago working on a project, you will have your license canceled if for any reason the city decides to check on your insurance. So you need to have the insurance. You need to have a minimum of $1 million in general liability insurance. It must come from a AAA rated insurance company. The city must have a copy of it. You also need to have an LLC or a corporation. You can incorporate that on Cyber Drive for $150. And you need to have your EIN number and your application for a general construction license runs you for a C license, which is up to a $500,000 project, is $300. Then it goes $300, $500, and $1,000 for up to like a $10 million project. Those are the things that you must have in order to be a general contractor in the City of Chicago. But of that, anybody can buy anything they want. It just depends on what liability do you want to have it. Is it very important for you to have it? I tell people all the time, it's more important that you have the right people working for you than for you to get a license. Okay, where can someone check the validity of a license? City of Chicago general construction license. That's all you have to type inside of there, and it gives you every person in the City of Chicago who has a license with the city.
Wow, you're dropping some nuggets. Yes, wow.
So yeah, you can go on there, and I recommend the application process for you to become a GC. If you do everything correctly inside of the package, you can have your license back in 2 to 3 weeks. If you do everything correct inside of the package. So you can get the application online. It tells you step by step what you need to have. The biggest hang up most people have is getting the certificate of liability insurance correctly, adding the City of Chicago as additional insured, making sure that they get their insurance from a AAA rated company, and you have to get a AAA rated printout, just the insurance company's rating on a piece of paper that shows that they're a AAA rated company. So there are companies like Hiscott. You have Countrywide that can get you one with Gwen. She can get you one. You can get one through Hiscott. There's a lot of different agencies that you can get one. It is very important that you guys recognize that when you decide to become a GC, you cannot put on the application that you're going to be doing electrical and plumbing, full rehab. They will not insure you. So you must put on your application carpentry work, tile, cabinets, things of that nature, because unless you have an electrician or a plumber's license, you cannot do electrical and plumbing. Very important that you put that on your city application when it asks you, what will you be doing? Carpentry. Everything is carpentry except electric and plumbing. Okay. I got 10 minutes. So do we have any questions, Foster, that I didn't answer?
I'm checking in the chat room right now for you, Lenore. Let's see. How long is the application process? Is the last question that we have. Where can someone check the validity of that? I think you answered that one, but how long is the application process? You said 2 to 3 weeks?
2 to 3 weeks is everything is done correctly. And City of Chicago website, all you have to type in the City of Chicago licensed general contractor. It will pull everyone that is licensed up. Just make sure that you have their correct name, and you can see, and you go over to your right, it'll show you if they have a current open license that is on there.
Okay. And then did you answer this one? Is insured the same as bonded?
Insurance is the same as, nope, I answered that, but no insurance. And
Okay.
I didn't see, what was the last question?
The last one was, okay, what are the best ways to find subcontractors?
The one before that one.
Have you noticed a decrease of investing with the increased requirements from lenders during COVID?
Absolutely. So a lot of investors that are coming right now are people who have money inside of the stock market that decided to pull their money out. So they are very liquid heavy. I've noticed that a lot of smaller first-time investors are pulling back a little bit because they may not have as much liquid cash, but those investors and people who have lots of cash are coming to the forefront. But what I've been noticing is that they're not looking for your single family homes or your 2 flats. They're looking more for your larger portfolio. So just like the last 2 weeks, I have one client that is looking for 500 units. So with them, I'm looking at their properties, looking for them to build their portfolio up to 500 units. And I'm just scouring properties that are 20, 30 units at a time to try to find them their properties. When it comes to subcontractors, that is very, very hard for us to find those. And that's because what I've noticed is if you have someone that does good work, they refer people that do good work. So if you have somebody that's had some work done or has somebody who had a good experience with the contractor, you want to ask them for a referral. It's important that when you're getting a referral, don't go off of what you see on pictures. Make sure you go off of what you can actually see in person. If somebody's working on something, ask them, can you stop by their project? Ask someone who you know do good work for a referral for someone. So if you have an electrician that you need a plumber, ask your electrician for a plumber. Good contractors and good subs refer good subs.
Okay. You know, I have one last question. Let me go back over here really quick and give you this one. Would you recommend partnering with seasoned investors, and how do you vet someone you may be partnering with?
Well, I don't partner with anyone. That's the first thing. But if I were going to partner with someone, everyone has to bring something to the table. Because at the end of the day, if some person is just bringing money, that's a problem. Because we all know that money is just not enough for doing a project. Someone's going to get called in the middle of the night. Someone's going to have to go to Home Depot. Someone's going to be doing all the running. So if a person is only putting money up, that ain't gonna work. Then that's a 35 and I get the 65 because I'm the one who's really doing the project. You just putting some money in, you gonna get your money back out. So whoever's doing the day-to-day operation has more, even if it's just sweat equity into the project, than a person that's putting the money up. You need to make sure that every specific thing inside the partnership is written out on paper and reviewed by an attorney, because not having contracts ruins everything. So everything needs to be in writing. I don't care if it's with your mama. Put it in writing.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Let's see what we got here. No, that isn't a question. Gina just said she agrees. Toya saying, speak. We got some comments on here. Yes, come on now. We're going to have church at the end, okay?
Yeah, so the only last thing that I want to make sure is like partnership it can be good. It can be good, especially when two people have different things that they can contribute. But I just want to make sure you guys understand that it's very important that everything is right. And oftentimes we go off of relationships. No, put terms on everything. Everything has how it should be, put terms on it. And most importantly, I want you guys, every person that is selling real estate, helping create these investors, let me make this very clear. We are in different times right now. It is very important that we all create residual income. So while you're teaching your own clients how to become investor, your first client needs to be you. Okay? You need to be your first client. You, your mama, your sister, your cousin. You need to set up a fund to make sure everybody inside your family, your husband's family, and down your threshold of your family starts to invest inside of real estate. If you have family that's inside of a building, buy a building for all that family to live in. And you don't have to ever tell them that you own the building. Yes, it is about building that generational wealth. You can get a property management company to manage everything. You don't have to ever tell them that. But we have to stop investing and teaching other people to start investing in our communities and not investing ourselves. Because we're creating a lot of investors. I have a lot of out-of-state investors, and don't get me wrong, I love them. They put money in my pocket all day. But I'm also teaching my cousins. I'm also teaching my family. I'm also teaching the teachers and everyone else how to invest in my Chicago. This is my Chicago. Okay? This is your Chicago. Build up your community. I have a school at 71st Street that I have decided to partner up with. But now here it is. I'm buying over there where my school is. 71st and Normal. I'm buying up over there because that's where my community school is. So I want everybody to make sure that they start putting and planting where your family is, where your community is, because it doesn't matter how much money we have. It doesn't matter how much we sell. If we don't have money come easy, it go easy. It come in and out. It's just like moving and traveling. But if you don't have anything to show for everything you've earned year over year, over year, over year, you are working for nothing. It's very important that we start planting where we're working at. Okay.
Gotcha. Speaking of planting where you're working at.
If you guys have any clients, any investors that are having a hard time with their property, I manage properties that are from 2 to 200 units currently right now. I am taking on clients that are struggling. We have turned so many clients into investors. And if they are having a hard time, I specifically like trouble properties, gang properties, drug properties, buildings and building court. Those are my specialty. If somebody is on the verge of saying, I just want out, give them my number. They can reach me at 312-348-7225. I am looking for the trouble properties, the ones that people are ready to throw in the towel at, the properties where all the gangbangers have taken over. I want that one. I want the one where they selling drugs out the living room. I want the ones where they just shooting up the block. Refer them to me. Anybody can manage a property. Everyone can't manage a trouble property. So Investors Property Management Solution is trying to solve all of those investors' properties. We take them big, small, and little. Again, you can reach me at lenorsherman@gmail.com. And the last thing, I think I got 30 seconds, about 30 seconds left. You guys, make sure that you reach out to people, check on your neighbor. We have these different times that we're living in. As much as I love working and making money, right now is a season of looking after people. I've had the pleasure of being able to donate a lot to people over the last month, and the pure joy that I have found in being able to help people that have been struggling has meant more to me than closing on one of my highest closing deals. We have to make sure that we are being a blessing to one another. Women's Council, they're going places. They're all about building up women and making sure that we together grow as a unity. Men included, we love you too. But it's very important that we do more, that we help each other more, that we continue to grow as one as a whole. And thank you guys for having me. God bless you. Take care of yourself. If you guys need me, I am available. You can email or call.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you
y'all.
so much.
Thank you, Lenor.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you.
All right, ladies. So I am going to pop back in the main room and bring us all back together. See you in just a moment.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye.
Thanks, Lenor.
Thanks, Lenor.
Bye-bye.